Bitcoin's alive, what you gonna do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution, ayy. Bitcoin is the one, no substitution, ayy. With Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal Revolution.
Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin Ordinal ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We got an alpha episode, alpha alert, guys. This is huge. This is Debauchery. They're one of the biggest alpha groups, in my opinion. I've been just taking a look, and I was thinking over the last course of the week, I was like, I got to find, the earliest alpha for our community and stuff like that. And I started thinking and immediately popped in my head. I was like, oh, yeah, the debauchery guys, man. These guys are on top of everything. You can't like you see anything without checking on Twitter and then seeing that they tweeted about it a few days ago. Right. So it was just like, damn. Every single time. So we're gonna have them guys on the show today. Really appreciate them coming on. It's gonna be a fun one, guys. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. Bring my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
What's up, man? So where's the alpha? Where's the alpha, bro?
It's in the debauchery groups, man. In the debauchery group, I should say. Yeah, actually, it's funny that you brought them up to me. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I remember seeing them post on my timeline months and months ago. We're talking about a very long time ago. They've been in the space for a while, and there are a couple good alpha groups right in the space, and they definitely stick out as one of the top ones. So I was excited that you said we're gonna get them on the show. We typically don't do alpha groups on the show, but this is one that we talked about. I was like, we got to get them on.
Yeah, in times like this when things are kind of really beat up, right? We've been sideways for almost 200 days. Bitcoin's been sideways, but runes and ordinals, we've been down only, and it sucks, right? So it's time to get back on our horse, right? It's time to start riding again. And we are starting to feel that energy come back that we were talking about today on our live stream. Where we definitely feel like it's like perfect timing for something like this.
Yeah, especially with Fractal launching mainnet with the miners and getting the mempool going, and I mean someone like who wasn't Inscribe came out and they front ran Unisat and created their own token standard. And in this space, what do we always say? First is first, right? And I already saw that the debauchery guys already posted about that as soon as it happened, right? So you're absolutely right, though. The energy is back, and you got to be on top of your A game. So that's something that you got to be aware of.
Yeah, man. So without further ado, let's bring them up. Bring up Zero from debauchery. Welcome to the show, Degenerate in Chief.
What up? How you guys doing?
Oh,
good.
Man.
How are you?
Good, man. Good. Just getting ready for Fractal. Getting ready to hit the trenches. Getting my war paint on. Getting hyped up.
Love it.
Yeah, man. We can't wait to dig into everything you guys are doing over there. But I kind of want to know about you a little bit, if you won't mind. Kind of get to know the person we're talking to. You can kind of take us back as far as possible, kind of lead us up to your crypto journey, and then kind of get into that.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny the way that I got into crypto is really by accident. So I think like a lot of people, I've always kind of been a bit of a troublemaker growing up. So I'd heard about Bitcoin through like a lot of people through the Silk Road, and I never used it personally, but I'd heard about it like that in passing. Like, so I'd heard about it in some songs. This was 2011, 2012, but I just was not in tune to finance in that way. So it just didn't really, I didn't get what anybody was talking about. And then in 2015, I was just on Google, and I was I was not doing as well financially as I am now professionally. And I think I typed something in Google like how to get rich fast or something like that. And I got and it was like this really super stupid top like 10 like a list, right? Like it's stupid like ad clickbait list. But like number 2 on that list was invest in Bitcoin. And I was like, I was like, I've heard of that before. And then I started digging into it, and it wasn't like this like white light thing where I understood the power of like, oh, this is going to change finance or anything like that. I got a Poloniex account. For those who've been around a while who remember Poloniex. So
the bot
I got a
trading,
Coinbase
right?
account. Yeah. Yeah, degenning right off the rip. I got a Coinbase account and I started buying a little, and started just messing around on Poloniex, and I just became addicted. It was like it felt to me in the early days like collecting. Like it felt like a massive multiplayer online game. Like I was collecting gold in the game is what it like felt like, and it just like did something for me. I didn't understand the significance of the technology really, but what really hooked me was I bought Ripple, and it was like fractions of a penny back then, and it had like this 3 day spike where it went like 10x in like 3 days, and I made like $8,000 like very quickly, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what is this, and how did that just happen? And it kind of evolved from there, but that's where it really started, and it kind of just by accident, kind of just fell into it like that.
Amen. Awesome. Let's kind of keep it going. So what year was this? Oh, was it like 2013, 2014?
No, so this was so it was like peak. We were just starting to come out of the bear market of the China bubble after the Mount Gox hack and all of that. So it was this was 2015 going into
Okay.
2016. So I joined at like the very start of the early trend stage. So phase two of the 2017 market cycle. So that was my first real taste into crypto. So I definitely joined while it was on easy mode, for sure. That was the ICO bubble and all that.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
Yeah.
Especially if you pick like the, the main tokens, then it was definitely easy mode. But you still had to figure out which ones were, viable and had a future. And so I think that you had to build up a skill set. And did that roll into like the 2020, 2021 bull run? Obviously, the COVID bull run. Did you participate a lot in that?
I've been, 24/7 pretty much since that day with
Wow.
like very small breaks in between. Actually, ironically, I mean, for me at the time, I guess, like comparing it to where I was at the time, I did okay. I didn't know what I was doing. So,
Yeah.
I didn't really make much money. Like I would make money and then immediately lose it. I was just chasing green candles. I had no idea how to trade. I had no idea how to properly pick coins. But there was like a point in that cycle where you could throw a dart at the wall. I mean, the altcoin market was so small. It wasn't like now where there's umpteenth billion tokens. It was like there was a point where everything just started going up very like parabolic all at one time towards the end. And I think I made a little bit of money and I sold all of everything when Bitcoin was like, I think at like $5,000 or $6,000. And I was like, wow, look at that. Like I made some money, like cool. Like it was a lot of money for me at the time. And then, I didn't look again. I shut my phone. I shut it all down for like a few months because I didn't know anything about market cycles or I just wasn't really in tune with that. And then it had just collapsed from $20,000. And I'll always remember opening my phone and saw that Bitcoin went to $20,000 or just about. And like, I'm like, what? How is that possible? That's like that blew my mind. That number was just it's such a big number compared to the when I started it was like $300-400. I'm like this is what just happened. So I became much more serious about it around that time. So I actually learned to trade during the bear market, brutal bear market. I learned how to buy bounce plays. I learned how to read charts. I learned how to short. Um, and I'm grateful for that because that I feel like if I hadn't have done that. Um, I wouldn't be as good as a trader as I am today because learning how to trade in a bear market, if you can learn to trade in a bear market, you're going to do really well in a bull market. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth and learned. So I was pretty well prepared, by the time the COVID bubble started picking up steam, 2021,
Yeah.
2020, 2021. And that's really where I hit my first big cycle where I made for me like pretty life changing money at that time. And then
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just been growing since then. Really.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That
Yeah.
makes a ton of sense actually, because it's like I think Shizzy, myself, people that have been in the space for a while, that's kind of like the trajectory of becoming successful in the space is that you have to pay your tuition kind of situation, but pay your dues, and then you become good at like the cycles and timing and stuff like that. You learn to make it survive the bear market, and then you have the rewards on the other side, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah, the tuition is losing money, and that's why a lot of people don't ever get good, is because they don't like to lose money, so they quit, and that's,
100%.
Yeah,
you got to stick it through that part of it.
100%, dude. I completely agree. All right, so we're in 2021 now, and then bear
Mhm.
market induced, right? Really, 2022 was rough for everybody, but then 2023 comes along, and there's this new development called Ordinals. Can you talk about your journey from just being a trader into Ordinals?
Yeah, and that's I'm happy to, because that's definitely obviously my most uh my favorite time, of my crypto career, is this little uh revolution into Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ecosystem that we're going through right now. So um I think it was in January. It had just started. Like, so I started seeing, stuff about it on Twitter, mainly from Bitcoin maxis just having a complete meltdown over it. And I can't stand Bitcoin maxis, just as a general principle. Even though I'm kind of a Bitcoin maxi in that I love Bitcoin. I think it's the greatest out of all of the coins in terms of staying power and blah 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 blah. But that like mentality, so that like intrigued me that they didn't like it. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder what that is. And my investing partner, a very good friend of mine, who's also works for the project, named Greg. Um, he was like, look, man, this inscription thing is kind of interesting, and they're doing NFTs on Bitcoin, and he kind of talked to me about what it was. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. And the thesis was like pretty obvious, which was really like, Bitcoin obviously is the most liquid and dominant coin on the market by a lot. And if it can take a fraction of Ethereum's NFT volume, going from zero to anything, is like 0 to 5% of Ethereum's volume, that's like a massive return. I mean, just compounded, that you're talking 500 to 1,000x multiples from something that's nothing into something that's even very small. So that was kind of our whole thesis. Like, if this could take any amount of Ethereum's market share, the returns are going to be massive. And it doesn't even matter what crypto does. Like, it doesn't matter whether as long as Bitcoin doesn't nuke, this thesis could play out, where you could just get this spill of liquidity from crypto in general into this new ecosystem. It didn't rely on retail coming in, or your grandmother buying ordinals or anything like that. So that was a pretty attractive thesis. So we didn't really get involved in any of the sub 10K. We watched, but we did watch from the beginning, and they always had that first little bubble where we were just trying to grab anything under the 10K inscription number, and then that collapsed. And then what was really the green flag for us was a spreadsheet, and you had to have Sparrow Wallet, and it was all done on spreadsheets. But I had never, in my whole time in crypto, ever seen infrastructure built out that quickly. So all of a sudden, in like the span of 2 weeks, you had marketplaces, OrdSwap, Ordinals Wallet, you had wallet support, and then Magic Eden started. I mean, it was just insane. I had never seen that much infrastructure built that quickly. And whenever I'd seen things like that in the past, like on Ethereum, for example, that was always, whenever you see that, that's very bullish. That means that very smart people are trying to build out rails for people to use this. And that's a huge green bullish flag. So we started, it was pretty tough to see for me at the time what was going to win or what was going to lose in terms of projects. So we just kind of, everything was so cheap, and fees were so low, that we just minted everything. I mean, that was kind of we just did a shotgun approach. Like, oh, we have no idea what's going to win or what's going to lose. Some of these are going to be huge winners. So we just need to try to cast a wide net and max min as many as possible until like some obvious winners show up. And through that, we managed to inscribe 60 Bitcoin frogs. We got in on the Bitcoin Wizards mint. Those were two huge wins, obviously. And ended up, that's the Bitcoin frogs play kind of set us up. And obviously, from that point, it's just, this whole train has just been insane to ride on.
yeah,
Because I've never been that early to anything. I mean, uh, early to me was like, I was pretty early to like I don't know if you remember the crypto gaming bubble in 2021. Like,
yep,
I saw that before a lot of people, but you were still talking about coins with like hundreds of millions of dollars of market cap. I mean, we were one of the first 1,000 wallets to interact with the Ordinals protocol. I've never been that early, so to see it all happen and to like be there and just make these insane multiples from literally nothing, it's wild. It's been a wild ride, and yeah, so that's kind of how that started, and then obviously that all crashed, and then you had the BRC20 run, the initial one, and then I kind of started to see the same things happen that happened with collections start to happen on the token front. So started noticing the things that Track was doing, started noticing that some more infrastructure for BRC20 was getting built out. You had all of these first meta protocols kind of starting to like come out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, and I'm starting to see the same like pattern emerge on these inscription tokens, which generally I think they're kind of dumb in general, but you can't like deny the signs when you see a trade. So leaned into that, and obviously we all know what happened there. Is kind of the same thing played out where everything just kind of exploded in this Cambrian explosion of tokens, and we were able to get on that, and that's kind of when debauchery started. Was right as that wave was kind of coming on, was when we started the group, right around there. So probably I think October or November was our first post.
Man, you were just going to go right into our next topic, into our next topic. So you're doing an amazing job, by the way. I don't know if you have experience in podcasts, but yeah. So let's kind of jump right into debauchery then. How to start it? Well, what is it, and what are you guys shooting for?
Well, there's what it started as and kind of what it's become, which are vastly different. But the reason why it started was for a long time people have been asking the group of people that I kind of run with and I learned to trade with to start an alpha group, and it was never really something I was that interested in. I like the idea of it, but I'm focused on my own portfolio for the most part. But the thing about ordinals that made us want to do this was there is very obvious, really toxic influence peddling, and a lot of people with really high follower accounts on Twitter that obviously have no idea how to trade, have no idea how to make money, that were peddling really toxic narratives with a lot of insider tomfoolery that's just really predatory stuff. And I'm sure you've seen it as well. I mean, sub 10K is the only way. Sats is that's garbage. Stay away from that. Track, that's garbage. Stay away from that. Bitmaps, that's trash. Stay away. It's like these are and these are people with like 20,000 to 100,000 followers on Twitter who are saying this, and people are listening to them. And I'm like, okay, these people they're following these people because they want to get an edge in the market. Like the average person is following these people because they have a large follower count and they think that, well, they must know what they're doing, and they're unaware that these people have that large follower count because they typically don't make money in the markets, and they make money off of that follower account. And that can, especially in crypto, lead to really predatory things like exit liquidity, pump and dumps, insider you know insider insider trading, I guess you could say, or whatever the crypto equivalent of that is. So we wanted to start a group where the alpha was real. I mean, and it was we wanted to start a group where it wasn't just us. It wasn't people just following me or following my partners or anything like that. We wanted to have something community run where it would all be based on meritocracy, and people could kind of rise from just being totally random and rise uh, to be somebody that other people would want to follow. Because in crypto, the people who make the most money are typically people with 100,000 followers on Twitter, and you never hear their name. And the only way to find those people and elevate them is through allowing them to kind of have a place to go, B, voice their opinion, and be noticed for that. And that's kind of how we wanted to structure it. And that was our goal. That's why we started it.
That's awesome. I think that creating a almost kind of like a safe space, if you will, to where it's not people relying on centralized leaders necessarily, but a community together to help each other out is a great thing. But that kind of you brought up like the large accounts. We all know kind of like these larger accounts in our space, these influencers and stuff. they've been the ones that initially, let's say 8 months ago, were running spaces with 1,200 people listening and stuff like that. Let's fast forward, or from here, we would rewind to April, and Casey releases the Runes protocol, right? So this one's a little tricky, I feel like, because there was definitely that Ordfluencer group that was pushing that. How did you guys perceive Runes, and how do you look at Runes now and in the future?
I mean, the way that I look at the markets, to be totally frank, is I think most of this is all going to zero, and you should capitalize on it and make as much Bitcoin as possible. And the reason why I say that isn't because I think that like the Bitcoin ecosystem is going to zero, but if you look back at prior cycles in crypto, nothing, very few things. I won't say nothing, but very few things, like a fraction of a percent of something from last cycle is still in any way relevant today. So, and typically when you have like an explosion of a new ecosystem, you have all of this crazy innovation and a bunch of stuff just popping up left and right. And it was the same with, the internet bubble in 2000. It was the same with the EV bubble in 2021. I mean, whenever you have an initial market phase like that, is most of it is trash. And then what ends up happening is the bear market comes, washes all that away. And then but you still have like this foundation. And then usually on that second cycle, that's when you see like the real things emerge. So I think there's like probably some stuff happening right now that will have staying power. But just historically speaking, if you're buying any of this stuff, whether it's runes, whether it's fractal, whether it's collections, whether it's tap, anything like that, and you're expecting this to like be relevant in 3 to 4 years, you're probably being sold something. Just historically, that's not the way that these things typically play out. So when runes came around, to me, I thought it was better than BRC20 just because there's no transfer inscriptions. I mean, the experience was definitely better, in my opinion. I know that there's some pretty heavy runes haters out there, but to me, it's just a trade. I mean, I don't really care. I don't care what's better. I don't, to me, it's all just a way to stack sats, and I follow where the liquidity's going, and that's what I do. But yeah, as far as the influencer thing, there was definitely a lot of that, and I think the one thing that is unfortunate for runes was I think the pre-runes thing was a net negative to runes, because you essentially had all of the gains that would have been on these tokens. And Runes still had some nice runs, and we still did very well in Runes. So it's not to say it was like total trash or anything like that. It had a nice run, just the tokens themselves. But I mean, like the Pups rune went to just insane valuations. Dog, Arsic, I mean, all of that stuff. So there was this like initial hype on these pre-runes, which I think baked a lot of the gains into that run. So then when a lot of those tokens launched and they had the biggest market caps, they were already really, really overvalued by the time that they launched. So expectations couldn't meet reality. And that was probably a result of all the influencer stuff, right? So that's kind of an example of how that can kind of be detrimental to an ecosystem or people participating in it. But if you're buying low and selling high, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're generally going to do okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, man. I'll take a look at your website real quick. So you guys did an amazing job on this. It looks phenomenal. Now I kind of understand why it's kind of the frog, because that's how you guys got started, right? Minting the 60 frogs, and it's
Yeah.
kind of your inspiration a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. And Pepe is the OG meme. It's the frog
Yes,
is the
sir.
creature of the frog represents internet culture, and Pepe's always been the best meme. So like when the initial Pepe token on ETH started going crazy, like I loved that. I was like, nice. Pepe's finally getting the love he deserves. It was all Shiba Inu dog, wolf pack, whatever, to the moon stuff before the last cycle, and then now all of a sudden the frog's getting the run. So that's why we went with the frog, because we're pure internet culture. When you come into debauchery, it's not just about alpha. It's it's pretty wild in there, and it's kind of a free for all. And people can say what they want, do what they want. Our server represents pure internet culture, and then crypto is a part of that. So that's why we went with that.
Yeah. Imagine having 60 frogs in November of 23, man. That's whenever they went to, I think, 0.5.
Yeah,
Dude,
not only that, we also, because I'll never, it was just crazy, and we were so early that we actually got all those naked frogs too. So it was like it was a crazy, probably one of my best trades ever.
I felt like those should have been worth more because they were like the accident, or the mistake. But
yeah,
it is whatever. So
yeah.
man. So we got the website here, but this is the magic where the magic happens, right? It all happens on your Discord. Can you talk about that? Like if I was somebody who were just hearing this for the first time, hearing about debauchery, what for me to become something in your Discord, what do I have to do?
So we have we kind of structure it loosely based on like a military hierarchy, and so there's a lot of like military themes and terminology thrown around. So when you start in a portion of the uh, server called the outpost, and you start with a role, which is the grunt role, which is the grunt just for like basic infantry, like lower level. And there are other levels of the server where most of the kind of the higher tier traders hang out. Um, and you get there by, I mean, just being active primarily. I mean, if you post alpha and that alpha ends up being a like just a grand slam call, that's a pretty quick way to get promoted. Otherwise, just showing that you care about being a part of the community, because it's not all about, some people just aren't good traders and they don't execute well, but a lot of people will just bring information. They just love the space and they're all over the place. They know everything that's going on, so they're always in there. They're always posting information. That's one way. Another way is just being funny and entertaining, because the in my opinion, my favorite part of the group, the alpha's awesome, but outside of that, my favorite part of the group is just the vibe of the community. So if you're there and you love the group and you love debauchery and you're memeing and making everybody laugh and you want to be a part of it, that'll get you promoted as well.
Amazing. Yeah, some of the stuff's pretty fun in here. I just saw F your boy Black Toshi and stuff like that. So it's definitely some really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of people in here too, man. And that's just the outpost. So if I was someone who's like just trying to find some fractal stuff, which room would you like say to go into? The war room,
Well, the war room
outpost.
is definitely the room where that's where all of everything happens in real time. So that's where all of the people you get to be lieutenant. I mean, most of the people got there by proving themselves as being pretty capable traders for the most part, or at least being very active in ordinals or wanting to participate. So most of the alpha starts there. In the sense that we're talking about shit, we're bouncing ideas back and forth. By the time it gets to, with the exception of like today, sometimes like with the flux mint, which you guys had talked about earlier, that happens so fast. And by the time both groups were already, the outpost and the war room were talking about it before I even knew about it. So I didn't bother sending out an official call. But generally, so let me back up a little bit. So there's grunt, that's the bottom role. Once you get promoted to lieutenant, you get access to the war room and the command center. You also get access to Ordinals charting tools and a few other things that we've developed. Um, and then from there, and this is exclusively for high tier traders, like just being engaged won't get this for you. But if you've proven yourself as a high tier trader, and a lot of people with this role you'd recognize, they're pretty well known traders in the space, then you would become a certified alpha caller. The certified alpha callers have permissions to post. If you scroll down, you'll just see the section of alpha calls. So ordinals, for example. So something like fractal would probably be in ordinals, like if you click there. So
Okay.
if I make a trade, right, and it's something that generally every trade that I take, I post. I mean, if I take a trade, I'm going to post it in there, whether it's a winner or loser. As I take it, I post it. So if I'm going to take a fractal play, I'm going to post it in there. I'm going to post it in ordinals. If T Clow takes a fractal trade or any trade, he's going to post it in there. If the Hawk buys a meme coin, he's going to post it in degenerate shitcoinery. Um, and that's kind of how it works. So the ideas start in the war room, and then somebody will probably take a trade on those ideas, or we'll all kind of take it at the same time, and then someone will post a call, and then the people in the grunt chat, because we want the alpha to be accessible to everybody, Everybody in the server can see the calls. So even if you're lower level, you can see it as the calls come in, and you can still take that trade if you choose to.
Dude, I love this. This is awesome.
I do too. I love the fact that you have to earn the privilege to post in those alpha channels. That's
Yeah, that's the whole thing about like when I was talking about the influencer thing, is that idea was something that we always wanted to be a thing, because it's a big responsibility, man. We're not trading super liquid markets, and we don't want to run a pump and dump group, and we're not trying to make anybody our exit liquidity. So we want to make sure if you're going to get that role and you're going to be able to tell people who may not be experienced in trading what you're buying, we want to make sure you know what you're doing and that you're ethical. So it's important.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Amazing. So I obviously keep seeing these frogs here. Can you kind of explain what they are and what they're potentially going to be, and maybe a little bit of some alpha, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. So our collection, which we've been working on for many months now, is called Insurgents. Our artist, also part of the team, his name is Rob Enoch. He's fantastic. He's a visionary. He did all of those frogs. He's also he's also the artist behind the UNAT collection Chaos, if you guys are familiar with
Okay.
that.
Wow.
Okay. So it was all, the group was always designed to, it might have been like in the first 3 weeks just an alpha group, but I want the culture started kind of evolving very rapidly, where it seemed to me and my partners, that the people I work with, that this was not like a normal group, like the way that people just kind of started vibing with each other, and we wanted to give people an opportunity to kind of represent what it meant to be a total degen in some kind of a PFP. And so that's where the frog came from. So that's kind of how it started. And it started off where we were just going to do, 20 or 30 pieces to like some of our earliest members, and, some of the people who contributed the most. And it kind of took on a life of its own as we started working on it. We wanted to do a little more, and then a little more, and then expand it some more. And then the group started growing, and it became pretty clear that um, we were going to have to figure out a way to, for one, we want to build tools for our members. So ordycharts.net is one of those. That's a charting tool. We were the first ones to ever have Ordinals candlestick charting using a trading view engine. And we have a dev who does all that for us, named the Q. He's in the group as well. Also, when you have 5,000 people in the group, 30 frogs ain't gonna cut it. There's more people, more T-gens than 30 people. So it's just kind of expanded from there. So the way that it's going to be is eventually the server will be, to an extent, gated by the collection. So you'll have to have one of the pieces in order to be in the server. Everybody will be able to join a basic level of the server, but if you want to take part in the meritocracy and you want to start at the ground level and work your way up, if you want to be a part of that whole thing, you're going to have to hold one of the PFPs, because otherwise, if the group grows to 20,000 people and we make a call, we really risk really ruining these markets. I mean, especially if you buy a rune and 20,000 people buy the same rune, that's a problem. You're gonna slip the order book. There's gonna be a massive green candle. Everybody's gonna get wrecked. So we have to try to cap it to some extent, and doing that with a collection and token gating it seemed like a pretty easy way to do that as the group started to grow.
That makes sense.
Amazing, man. I think I fell in love with one. This one right here is
the
dope
orange
as shit.
hat? I actually have that orange Bitcoin hat. It's so crazy. The one that says the one I have says "Make money great again," and it's a Bitcoin hat, but it's basically the same thing.
Bro, these are so dope.
My
bro.
favorite trade is the sniper trade is my favorite. I don't know if you can see it on there or not, but he's got the ghillie suit on and the sniper rifle. That's my personal favorite trade.
Nice.
I haven't seen that one yet. My computer's acting real slow because I'm streaming, but
so you used recursion to create these, right? Correct.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
The larger portion. Yeah. Some of the when you like go into our server and you see a lot of people who are rocking the PFPs, most of those are one of ones for the alpha callers. And those do not use recursion. Those were done prior to recursion really being that pronounced in the ecosystem. So those are all just raw inscriptions, but that collection that part of the collection there is all done recursively.
Gotcha.
Amazing.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm gonna beg you for some alpha here, and when drop?
So we're looking at tentatively the middle of October.
Okay.
As far as some alpha, so if you want to whitelist, I'm going to keep this really as loose as possible. If you want to whitelist outside of the normal avenues of getting a collab, there'll be a lot of ways you can get one. But if you want to get one and you want to ensure you get one now, I would look into maybe holding some other pieces that our artists may have worked on in the past. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay,
There's a
there you
Love
little
it.
go.
Easter egg
Love
drop
it.
to make
I
sure you
love-
watch the whole video.
Yeah, I love the bread. I love the breadcrumbs there. That's awesome. So.
Yeah, man. Well, man, this has been absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm just curious, your opinion on fractal right now. We're about to enter this fractal craziness. What's your opinion on it? Are you going to be degenning into this?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. 1,000%. I already have been. Yeah, we already
he's
have been.
he's the degenerate in chief. What are you
But
talking about?
but
Come
I'm
on,
just
man.
saying, but it's not technically Bitcoin. There's a lot of people out there that are crying and saying that's not Bitcoin. Didn't we already do this with Merlin and all this other stuff? And why are we doing this again? I'm just curious of like, did you explore Merlin?
A little bit. I didn't really get too involved in it. Not for any reason specifically. It's just when that was going crazy, everything was going crazy. So like I just didn't really have a need to venture over there. And it always just kind of seemed a little too EVM to me to like. So the whole thing that makes me really bullish on the Bitcoin ecosystem is it's kind of like a feature and it's like a blessing and a curse, right? Is how illiquid everything is. So when you have these illiquid markets, they can go insane to the upside. But when volume dries up, you're stuck. You can't sell it. So it's a blessing and a curse. And the Merlin thing seemed a little too much, a little too close to like Matic Polygon to me, where I'm like, well, there's probably some alpha here, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to capture enough of the participants in the Bitcoin ecosystem to do like what me inscribing something for $1 and selling it for a 1,000x return would be. Like Pipe or something like that. I want to get in on the stuff that's really ground floor, that's almost free, that can just explode on a liquid conditions. That's kind of what I'm looking for because that's what makes you the most money in this space. So, but as far as people who think it's not Bitcoin, I mean, dude, none of this is. I mean, runes. You're trading around UTXOs that somehow represent this invisible number that somehow is all of these tokens just because the org protocol says it is. None of this is Bitcoin. It's the only Bitcoin is Bitcoin. So if people who want to be people can be purists all they want, but they're not going to make any money. So that's how I look at that.
Love it.
I think that's perfectly said because it's like this. Like we created Ordinals to kind of be like fu to the maxis a little bit, not fu to them, but like we don't want to act like them, you know what I'm saying? And then whenever you get like that, you're just like talking to these people and they're just like, it's EVM, it's this and that, and that. You're like, bro, you're acting like the laser eyes, get the hell out of here. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, think about it, bro. We're trading cartoons back and forth on the blockchain for like 30 grand a pop. I mean, that's what we're doing. So people need to really put their shirts back on and chill out.
100%.
Oh man, amazing. So with Fractal, what are you looking at? Obviously we gotta wait to block 21,000. We're on block probably like 3,000, probably like 7,000-8,000 by the time this video goes out. What are you looking at as someone who is trying to make as much money as you possibly can? Are you looking at the inscriptions? You looking at the BRC20s? You're looking at the runes that are coming on block 82,000? Like what are you looking at personally?
Primarily what I mean, I do TA a lot, so I'm gonna obviously watch the chart. If something shows strength, if it looks like it's catching a bid, I'm interested in anything like that, regardless of what it is. But as what I'm really looking for is like what we saw today with Flux. So I'll definitely be buying more Flux once the OTC markets go live, because I kind of came in at the tail end of that and didn't get as much as I wanted. So anything like that. So the newer inscriptions, the newer tokens that launch native to Fractal, the ones that mint on Fractal that are new. That's what I'm primarily interested in.
Yeah.
But whatever shows strength, I'll buy. I mean, if the BAMP token comes over and all of a sudden, people want that because it's liquid and it's a stable coin and it starts to show strength on the chart, I'll buy that. But as far as what I'm looking to really make a lot of money on, it's the things that have always made me money, which is buying the early tokens in the ecosystem. The ones that are native to Fractal.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that it's just so wild that like Flux, they started a new token standard. They front ran Unisat, and I think that's something that people are overlooking about Fractal, is that we have builders on Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ecosystem that we've been working with the past year plus, that know how to quickly create token standards over there. So that's a big advantage, wouldn't you say, Zero?
I would say, yeah. I mean, that took me off guard.
I didn't expect
I'm pretty
it.
good at no, me neither. And I'm pretty good at catching narratives, like seeing them coming. That's something that's like something, especially since I started Ordinals, I've been able to do pretty well. And that was like, I was just kind of sitting on my heels waiting for, waiting the 6-7 days it was going to take for inscriptions to go live. And that happened. I'm like, wait, what is this? I was like, this is pipe or it's not, or like my stuff wasn't ready. Like I was like, it was like the early days again where I was figuring out like, what is a BRC20 token? It's kind of what it felt like. I was not ready for it at all. So that's exciting to me. So when I see stuff like that, and then obviously it minted out super fast. Everybody in debauchery is already trying to buy some, like from OTC, and there's none to buy. So I'm like, okay. And then you have all these other people who hate on it. So that's just people who are going to buy in higher. I mean, like the conditions are like perfect for it to do really well. So I'm super bullish, very excited.
So what about the let's just say the first 10K collection? Let's just say that's Fractal Goosenals or Fractal Goose. Are you looking into like derivatives, something like that, or like what are you looking at? Because that could be the first 10K collection. You could have gooses that are like number 70 inscription, right? Some pretty crazy stuff because it's just copy, paste, inscribe, right? It's super simple. There's no team. I mean, there's no like you have to go chasing whitelists or anything like that, right? So are you looking into that at all?
Yeah, the Fractal Goose is something that I was talking about the other. I love. I mean, the Goosenals were like a grand slam for me. I think I picked those up on the market. I inscribed a couple, some of them. Some of them didn't get indexed. But I have a soft spot because it was a really good trade for me. So anything like that, anything where you can inscribe to own, where it's just you're paying fees. Those are the things with the most upside. So I'm definitely looking at Fractal Goose. I don't know what else is coming along. I'm sure, generally speaking, the things that typically do really well are the ones that no one's really looking at, no one's really expecting. But anything that's cheap where I can spend $100 and potentially walk out of there with 20, 30 grand, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer risk to reward.
Yep.
So anything like that.
Good days of work right there.
Yeah.
My last question for you is this. I want to see if you can settle this between me and Shizzy. So he believes that the Fractal Goosenals can be
Fractal Goose.
Okay, Fractal Goose can be a higher price than the Bitcoin Goosenals. But from past history, what we've seen, like with the ETH NFTs and derivatives on other chains, it just doesn't make sense to me. Plus, Bitcoin's the highest value chain. I just don't see that happening. But I do see those being successful. But what will happen is if they get high, they'll push up the price, the floor price of the Bitcoin Goosenals. Who do you think could be more right in the situation?
Hold on, you got to remember that he's not putting in the fact that some of them could be number 70.
He knows
could
that.
Be number. I'm just saying, but I just want to put for other people that are thinking, oh yeah, there's no chance of that. But there's chances of it being a goose that's number 10.
All right, let's hear the man's answer here.
So I can see both arguments, and I could see it potentially. This is not going to be very helpful for warning, but I could see it. I could see it playing out either way. But the one scenario that I think could happen, which is kind of unique to this environment we're in right now is if Fractal captures the, say, imagination of the ordinal space. By imagination, I mean money, right? It takes all the money from what's floating around and available right now, and floor prices start to drop temporarily in collections because people are just funneling money into Fractal chasing gains, because there's not an influx of money right now like there has been in the past, right? There's a stagnant amount of money that's going to be flowing around to where there's gains. So I could see a scenario where the lack of liquidity in ordinals and then a flood of liquidity coming into Fractal could potentially push them temporarily higher, theoretically, if Fractal gets real crazy. I don't think over the long term that they sustain a higher floor price, though. More than likely, probably not.
That was probably the perfect answer you
Temporarily,
could give
maybe.
Yeah.
That was probably the perfect answer you could give to satisfy both sides. but
I'm
satisfied. Hey, I'll
satisfied.
take it. I'll take it.
All right. My last question. So I'm looking into. Are you looking into like names of these BRC20s? Let's just say the first BRC20 is Dragon, right? Because we need six to 13 or 6 to 12 or whatever it is. Are you looking at? Does that get you bullish? Obviously, it depends on the tokenomics and all that stuff and how many mints there are. But like something like Dragon or Hustle, and these are names I'm seeing thrown around by like Chinese accounts. Does that make you jump in at all, or are you just kind of just waiting to see what the community's doing?
I mean, whatever's first, I'm gonna try to get as much as possible into. Whatever the first inscription, whatever the first native token is that's being minted on Fractal, I'm gonna go hard into, and that's, in my opinion, 100% going to very likely be a winning trade. From there, I mean, people hate on runes, but I mean, people also seem to like not want to. Some people don't want to acknowledge that like runes had like 3 or 4 days of 20 million plus volume, and like some of them went crazy parabolic, and a lot of those had like some decent meme ability, some funny socials like Mr. Yen, Waddle Waddle, some of those like so I'm looking for some stuff like that. So obviously the provenance plays, like the first few tokens, like I'll try to mint those, and then from there just kind of looking to see if there's anything that's funny and memeable, and just like I normally would. And then if there's any like utility plays, if there's like a stable coin project that launches, or anything that can capture some kind of a narrative that strikes me as something that, what I'm always looking for is like, okay, if I was not a very good trader and I was in my first year and I came into this ecosystem, what would I buy? Right. And those are the narratives I want to be early into, because those are the ones that typically get bid up. So like a stable coin would be one of those. Something funny and memeable would be one of those. So I kind of have to see it as it unfolds. But that's what I typically look for. And then obviously, the first few tokens of the ecosystem, you really can't ever go wrong there.
100%. I agree. All right, man. This is kind of the part of the show where kind of give you the stage. You can basically say anything you want to our community. Stage is yours.
Yeah, I would just say, we would love to have everybody. Our group only works the way it does because we get new people who want to join, and through the process of just how the group organically works, we're able to find people who we would never have normally found to contribute to the group and provide alpha for everybody to make money. So, we don't block anybody. You can say whatever you want. We're not one of those types of groups. We don't gatekeep. We would love to have you. Please join our Discord and contribute and be a part of it. It's a lot of fun. Debauchery literally never sleeps. It is rocking 24 hours a day. So please feel free to join our Discord. If you want to go to our Twitter, the link's in the bio there.
Yeah, man. I'll have everything in the show notes for you guys too, off the Discord and everything. So just go down on the video and everything. We were there. But Zero, man, it's been a pleasure, dude. I just want to have you on this like kind of hang out again, dude. This has been amazing.
Bro,
we go live.
Anytime.
We go live Monday to Friday, bro. If you ever want to hop on with us, 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm not sure what time that is for you, but you can hop on with us whenever you want, man. It was a pleasure.
Hell yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, take it easy.
Absolutely amazing, guys. Really appreciate you guys hanging with us, man. Going on the hour mark. Just want to say, hit the like, hit the subscribe for us. It really goes farther than you think. Check out ordinalrevolution.com. Some of the best articles in the game. So check us out there. If you know someone new entering the space, send them our website, because we have articles dating back all the way from last September, over a year now. pretty wild. So check out these articles, check out our website, and if you're looking for merch, we have some of the best merch in all of Ordinal. So check out that stuff. If you want to get some merch added to our store, just reach out to us. We can add it for you. So just let us know.
Yep. And if you guys can help us out, just if you have a moment, check out our partners. BitPerp is a perpetual leverage DEX that's going to be launching on a Bitcoin layer 2 in Q4. They will have their paper trading competition coming up here in about 3 weeks. We'll give you guys some more information on that, and you can win passes and other assets that they're going to give out for prizes there. Ordinal Hive is a marketplace on native Bitcoin. They're going to have an aggregator marketplace that's going to be ready very, very soon. So you'll get the cheapest Ordinals in the space on their marketplace. Also, they scaled out to Merlin chain. So if you're more familiar with EVM, or you just want to use your Unisat wallet over there as well, you can do that. But you can visit them at beta.ordinalhive.io to earn points by listing, trading, and then those points you'll be able to cash in for possibly tokens in the future, and then also fluid tokens. Another partner of ours that just came out with the innovative layer 1 staking. That platform is going to be ready, I believe, this week, possibly. But let me get some official announcements from their team before we say that. But that's going to be exciting. You'll be able to stake like your Billy Cats. I know they're starting with that. Verotium Dex, another Merlin chain, synthetic layer 1 Bitcoin focused DEX on Merlin chain. Right now, you can also stake your BRC 420s over there. And then Foxy, which is a tap protocol project, but they have BRC 420s in their Bitverse. They have all these other Bitcoin assets. And so watch out for their Bitverse and Clan Wars that's going to be coming up. And if you're on our team, you need to practice, because we need to win the Clan Wars, the Ordinal Revolution Bitverse team there.
We don't need to win. We will win at all costs, right? But guys, check us out. We're live Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and then 3 p.m. UTC. We're live every single day, Monday to Friday, and then we'll put out a video on the weekends. So check those videos out as well. We just did 2 amazing ones over the weekend. So check those out, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Ordinal Revolution. Let's go.